For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, hosted by GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Noah Jammer. The first two segments, we talk basketball, like it always happens here. Promise you, it's not a basketball podcast. It just feels like it is a lot, because it's that time of year, basketball's, the main subject to talk about. This segment, talk about the MLB, possible lockout in 2026. So, MLB lockout 2026. Why? So this year, the MLB was proposing an idea to, add cap space. They want to add a cap space to MLB. And MLB, as of right now, is the only American sport without, cap space. That's why they're paying these players $1 million. That's why the Mets were able to sign Juan Soto to $765 million for a 13-year contract. And Vladimir Guerrero, a $500 million contract. And Shohei Ohtani for another $500 million contract. Because there's no cap space, they can spend all the money they want. And these big market teams are going to spend as much as they can because they have a lot more money than, the Dodgers, the Nets, or the Yankees, the Mets. They have all this money because they're big market teams compared to, like the Mariners or the Cardinals. They have a lot more money, send a lot better players, all that. So, like I said, earlier this season, before the season started, the MLB was proposing a cap space. We're going to put a lock on it. We're going to put a cap lock. You can only spend X amount of money for certain players for a certain amount of time, all that. And I don't think that's a good idea. Me personally, I do not think that's a good idea. The MLB is, they are a, big market sport. Granted, every team, every league has big market teams. The MLB, without, the cap space, infinite cap space, infinite money to spend, I feel like you get these big name players, the big name cities, locations, teams, and just helps the sport a lot. You see, you had Shohei Ohtani and the Angels. He's still in LA, but still. You had him on the Angels where he was getting, still getting really good recognition, but the Angels' viewership was still just, not good. The Angels are just a small market team, so they're not getting good viewership. He goes to the Dodgers, one of the biggest teams in MLB in the world, and the Dodgers stock, it just rises. Everybody starts watching all this, people are buying League Pass, people are buying, all these subscriptions to watch him play. And it just helps the sport in general. It brings in more money, brings in revenue, helps them make profit. And that is, I think that's the right thing for baseball. Baseball is a historic sport. Baseball is America's sport. It has been around since the early 1900s, late 1800s, and baseball is just historic in America. It is the American game. And with that, being said, these big market teams, they would suffer a lot with the cap, with this cap space, salary cap. And, example, you Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. The Dodgers would not be able to afford all three of, not even there. I'm just giving an example. Those guys are just their best players. The Dodgers would not be able to afford all of them. They have to get rid of at least two of them so they can afford, to function an actual team. They can't, so they trade Mookie to, the Cardinals or whatever, and then Freddie Freeman to small market team. I don't know, just another small market team, the Mariners or the Marlins or something like that. And so viewership, could tend, take a toll. They could lose money, people stop watching, and it affects overall viewership, ratings. People will just want to boycott it. And this is the same thing that happened in the early 2020s. With the early 2020 lockout, players weren't getting paid. They just weren't getting, players were, hey, we're not getting paid nearly as much as some of these guys. We want money. MLB said, no. Oh, okay, we're not playing. We're sitting out. And they sat out for, it was a 99-day lockout. and they decided, you know what, fine, we'll reinvent, we'll pay you guys. So started playing baseball again. But in return, they missed the first 2 series of the season. It's about like the first week and a half, 2 weeks of the 2020 season, which does suck. But you're losing, losing money off it. You're losing You're losing 2 weeks of their revenue. So they do want to resolve that sooner rather than later. I don't want to lose money. Let's resolve this. But why would the lockout even happen? Why do they even propose this? So their CBA required. I'm not sure what that means. I think it's like one of their contracts. That's one of the contracts of the MLB. It expires in 2026, and the CBA, I believe, is the contract, so baseball. And when it expires, no one gets paid until they fix it, until someone else resigns it, or gets re-signed by a team or organization or whatever. So when that expires, players won't get paid. They'll lock out. They'll sit out. So all they have to do, honestly, is just get someone else, figure it out. Let's sign this, get it over with, so they don't lose money during that. It could be longer. Maybe the lockout will take longer because players aren't getting paid. They want to make more. Maybe they want to make more money. They see these Shohei, Vladimir Guerrero, De La Cruz, whatever. They see all these guys making all this money, and they're saying, "Hey, I want to make that money too. Why am I not getting paid like that?" So at the end of the day, I mean, the salary cap is a good thing for baseball, or a bad thing for baseball, because there's so many teams in the MLB that just have so much more money. I mean, there's what was the stat? 9 teams in the MLB currently are spending over $200 million to keep their rosters alive, and 5 of them are spending under $100 million. So you can see the teams that are spending more are doing better in the playoffs, regular season. Some of those teams include the Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, the Blue Jays. I mean the team Padres. The teams that do good in the playoffs tend to spend the most in the regular season. The teams that spend the least, some of those teams including the A's, White Sox, the A's, the Marlins, Mariners. These teams that spend so little are the teams that don't do good in the regular season and playoff, don't make the playoffs and lose. People just don't watch them. So the MLB definitely should not add a salary cap whatsoever. I think it'd be bad for the sport. You would lose so much money, lose a lot of revenue, because like I said earlier, in this 2021, when it started on December 2nd, 2021, that lockout happened. They were out for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. They didn't play the first 2 series, lost millions of dollars from revenue from jersey sales, concession stands, all that stuff. And even when they were getting paid, players were still complaining, "Hey, I want to make more money than this. I think I should be, I should be earning more money than this guy who's worse than me." And it was a very difficult situation to be in. So they eventually solved it, and the cap space issue, didn't think it would come up again. And like I said, in 2026, the CBA expires, and it'll, go from there. They'll have to decide what they want to do, pay their players, not pay their players. It's only a matter, it is pretty far away. It's the end of the 2026, so December 2026. So it's like a year and a half away, so it's plenty of time to figure out what's going to happen then, where, what, whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens if players will actually sit out again. Players lock out, you never know. We'll have to wait and see until 2026. And until then, if players are getting paid, they don't care. That's all we got for this segment. Next segment, in the final segment, we're going to the NFL. We'll talk about Nick Chubb, one of my favorite players in the NFL, what he's got going on, what's going on over there. Let's talk about him, where he can land. We'll get right back to that after the break.